Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your viewing environments. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you may discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships. Whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind, God is concerned about that which concerns you. And so we are here with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery. And you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the Give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites at NewLifeMinistriesInternational.com, NewLifeInternationalCDC.com, and those of you that are using the QR code and the link provided on Facebook and YouTube, we thank you for your continued support and your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So let me begin by saying to everyone what a glorious time it was yesterday at New Life Christian Center, 400 Hillcrest Avenue in Wilmington, Delaware, 19809 for Family and Friends Day. We had an amazing time, and I want to thank all of you who were with us and joined us for Family and Friends, and for those of you that, of course, were tuned in. We thank all of you for being with us as family, extended family, friends, and neighbors who all came out to celebrate. We had an outstanding time in service. We had the Choir School of Delaware doing praise and worship for us, with us on Sunday, and also we had Tri-State Gaming Limousine out for the young people who like to do video games. It was just an amazing time, and of course the food, as always, was outstanding. So I just want to thank you all for joining us, and for those of you who are not in our area but were able to tune in as always, we thank you for consistently being tuned in. We're Facebook Live, YouTube Live. We are RadioFreeNetwork.com live. If you go to RadioFreeNetwork.com, click on radio, the Dropbox will appear. Click on the New Life link. Every broadcast is available to you. And while you are there, stay connected with us. Click on the WKAP link, where you will reach our internet radio station, WKAPFaith.com, where we play music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, where you can be encouraged, empowered, and inspired to become the best version of ourselves that we can possibly become. So I want to start off today. I was going to get right into some very specific communications, but I know, the first Thursday of every month, we always have Rebecca Buva, RebeccaTheDietitian.com. Rebecca Buva, licensed and registered dietitian and nutritionist, with us. And she always shares tips for our health and wellness. She always goes over information with us that will help us to know our numbers, to be prepared to really enhance our health and wellness. I was having a conversation with my wife, and I went back through some communications that came in for Becca, and people talking about losing weight and gaining weight and all of the issues that we consistently deal with our human body. So we want you to be well in body, mind, and spirit. And so before I go any further, I just want to take a moment out, because my wife said to me, sometimes you have to be reminded. She said to me, well, you really should share what you've experienced with weight loss and maintaining weight loss. And so for all of you who have sent in communications, and there have been many of you who have sent in communications about losing weight because Becca shared some information with us in response to some of them, but some of them we still haven't been able to address because there's so many of you coming in on a consistent basis throughout the month. You all are talking about losing weight and then regaining the weight, or how do you maintain the loss of weight so that you don't go back. And I always like to use the term, go back to Egypt, where you're held captive and, you know, in that space. And so my wife said to me, well, what about your weight loss? And what about the weight that you've been able to keep off for the last 2 decades? And so the reality is this, I'll share with all of our listeners and viewers. I was hit by a drunk driver, and I had to have surgery, spinal surgery, twice, 10 years apart. So during that time, I gained weight because I was dealing with a lot of pain, a lot of immobility, still living, working every day, doing all of the things that I have to do, but suffering. So I really had gained some weight, and quite a bit of weight. And so one day, and I'm just going to share, since she put me on blast to share this with you all, my wife said to me, you're a heart attack waiting to happen. And because I had gained weight, and she said to me, you know, when your waistline hits, for men, your waistline hits 40 and you're over 40, or you're 40 and 40, you're a heart attack waiting to happen. So the point I'm trying to make with this is I made a decision at that moment. And my decision was based on a couple of things, and that is that I like ice cream, and ice cream was a comfort food for me, for lack of a better term. And I always joke and say, I don't know if it was just the ice cream or the chocolate brownie or cake that I was putting in the bottom of the bowl and covering with ice cream, but when you're in pain and you're sitting around not as mobile as you would normally be, you know, and you know, at the end of the business day, all you can do is try to rest your body because you're in pain, you're going to gain weight. And for people who are just immobile because they're not in pain, if you're sitting around, a body in motion stays in motion. So I don't want to sound like a public service announcement, but that's a reality. If you're moving, you're generating energy that's going to burn off calories. It's going to burn off some of what you have consumed. It's still diet and exercise. Let's not be deceived by that. You can't just exercise. You have to focus on diet also. But it doesn't necessarily require dieting. So I'm going to tell you, for me, I cut out ice cream. I eliminated ice cream from my diet. I, from time to time, will eat frozen yogurt, but for that cooling sensation, particularly during the summer, don't eat it during the winter. But my point is, you might have to make some adjustments in your food consumption, not necessarily dieting. I wasn't on a diet, although I have to tell you, I was eating 1 sandwich a day, and this is not an ad for Subway because they're not one of my sponsors, but it was a Subway sandwich that I was eating. I was drinking, and I still drink, but 2 liters of water, no alcohol, no soda, just 2 liters of water a day. Now I'm drinking 50% of my body weight, or I try to every day, but that's another topic for another day, because we talked about that with BeccaTheDietitian.com. Here's the point. So because I couldn't run then, I started walking. I would walk from, you know, when I would get off the train in New York, for example, or in Philadelphia, for example, I would walk to the office. And so, you know, you walk to the office, you walk back from the office, you're putting in some steps or some mileage. And so I started doing that, and I eliminated some of my snacks and replaced them with pineapple, which has a natural sugar, but pineapple, I was eating pineapple, I was eating dry fruit, I was eating fresh fruit. salads for lunch maybe, but not for dinner. My point is, I just made some changes. And because my wife cooks healthy, I was able to begin to lose weight. And then I was able to start to jog a little bit after the last surgery. And, after starting to walk. And so I ended up losing 73 pounds. And now the key is to increase your exercise. And, my wife made a point and said, well, you still eat desserts, you still have a brownie, you still have, a slice of cake or things to that effect, but you can't overdo it. So you have to pick and choose your moments when you're going to do those things. And I'm not saying you can't do them with some frequency. I'm just saying that you got to pick and choose. You can't have, 3 slices of cake and a slice of pie. It won't allow you to maintain the weight loss. And you're going to have to exercise. So, I've since run 5 marathons. I've run, numerous 5Ks. We're runners, so we do that. My wife and I run races. The reality is, in order to run races, you have to train continuously. So you have to be consciously working out, running. And as you get older, you have to lift weights to maintain your muscle mass. We have to do the things that we need to do to be healthy and to maintain our health and wellness. I eat what I want to eat. But I don't, because I'm married to the food police, I don't overeat. But I do eat what I enjoy eating. So you've just got to learn to make the adjustments so that you don't go back to doing the things. And this is the problem for most people. They go back to doing the things they've always done before they lost the weight, because now they've lost it. You can't go back to Egypt. You've got to keep moving towards the promised land. The promise is I can be in good health and prosper and have great success. I can be in health in my body, mind, and spirit. I can enhance my health and wellness consistently. So since then, that's what we do. We continue to stay on course. We continue to eat right. I'm not saying you don't ever want to eat out, but what I am saying is when you eat out, you're not going to get the same nutritional value that you would get by cooking or preparing your own foods. Know what you're putting in your body. This is the temple of God. You've got to know what you're putting in your body, and so we've just got to monitor and be intentional. I should reverse that. Be intentional about what we're doing with our food consumption. People who drink alcohol, we don't drink, but people who drink alcohol, you got to be careful about drinking alcohol. Should eliminate it from the consumption of what you put inside your body. People who are smoking, it's going to eventually be a detriment to your health. We've got to be intentional about everything we do. And if you do the things that you did to lose the weight and maintain them after losing it, you won't regain the weight. You'll be able to keep the weight off. And then you can start to increase your exercise and just watch what you're eating. But it's best to continue increasing your exercise. I started out, I said walking, then I went from there to jogging, then I went from there to running. And, I play golf regularly, as much as maybe I'd like to play more, but the reality is whatever you're doing to get some exercise is going to be good for you. Whether you're playing tennis, whether you're a walker, whatever you're doing, you have to keep your body in motion. Now they say the national average of what people should get is at least 6,000 steps. Your goal should be to get 10,000 steps every day. That means you got to put your body in motion. You got to be moving around. If you miss a day, it's okay. But some days you may double that. You've got to be intentional. about what we're putting in our bodies and how we're exercising our bodies. And if we do those two things, I promise you it's going to improve our health and wellness. Just don't go back to doing the wrong things that we were doing before losing the weight, and continue doing the right things that we've always done. Now, I'm not eating Subway sandwiches any longer because my primary care physician only wants me to eat one slice of bread per day. So you've got to pay attention to what your doctor's telling you, if he's telling you the right thing. Because you know, doctors sometimes give miscues also. But we just want to make certain that we're doing everything we can possibly do. If we're praying and reading the Bible and meditating, that's good for our mind and our spirit. We've got to take care of this body because it's the only one we have. This segment of the broadcast has been brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will place you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill at T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So I'm now going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers, a very specific communication that came in, and you indicated that every aspect of your life has fallen into place. Your career is stable. You continue to succeed. Your finances are well established. However, you are still not at peace. And you want to know, how do you get into a place of peace? So let me break this down for you first of all, and then I want to talk to all of our listeners and viewers about getting into a place of perfect peace. So the problem you're having is that you're waiting for the wrong thing to happen. So you went through, in your communication, you literally went through every component of your of what God has done in your life. The first thing that you should be saying is, to God be the glory. That every aspect of your life has fallen into place, personally and professionally. So you say your career is stable. That's a blessing from God. You are continuing to succeed in every project that you are assigned. To God be the glory. Your finances are well established. So you're not in financial crisis. Reason to lift your hands and say hallelujah. So you're not finding the peace. Part of that is that you're still waiting for the wrong thing to happen. You're still waiting for some issue to occur in your life. Listen, bad things happen to good people, but we don't need to wait on them to happen. We don't even need to sit and worry about when they're going to happen. We need to focus on what God has already done and what He's going to do. And what that means is this: if you know that everything is going well, your only responsibility now is to maintain what's going well and move forward that you can move forward. Listen, there are things that you can do in your professional career that will not only allow you to have stability, but will allow you to continue to thrive in your profession. And what that means, and this is for all of our listeners and viewers, is that may simply mean you keeping your job. That's thriving. If you can maintain your career every day, go to your office or your professional environment and put a full day's work in. And you know what I've told all of our listeners and viewers about that? That's at least a 10-hour day. That's a 10-hour day. There's 5 components to business. If you allocate 2 hours for each component, that's a 10-hour day. If we do that, you're going to maintain the stability. Now, the things you do above and beyond that are going to allow you to continue to thrive in that. Am I being the best version of myself and by performing at the highest level. Those are the things that get you promotions or increase in pay because you exceed expectations. And then you say you're continuing to succeed because you've been able to be at your position for a long period of time. That is success. Everyone's not able to do that because everyone doesn't give 100% of the time. Everyone doesn't even give 90% of the time. People either decide that they want to dwell in mediocrity or they want to exceed not the expectations of man, but their own expectations. Because if you exceed your own expectations, what you've done then is to tap into the spiritual realm of God, knowing that it's Him working through you and not just the work you're doing. And then you said your finances are well established. So you not only have financial security, but you're continuing to build wealth is our hope. The piece that you're missing is that you're expecting something to go wrong. You know, I've shared with all of our listeners and viewers and our congregation, there's peace that surpasses all understanding, and then there's perfect peace. We want to get into the place of perfect peace. And in order to do that, first of all, we all have to consistently work on our relationship with the Lord. Now, some of you knew I would get there. Those of you that are new probably didn't know I would get there, even as a pastor. But the reality is we have to constantly work on our relationship with the Lord. And what that requires us to do is to meditate, to get in silence, and allow God to speak to us in His own way. It requires us to increase our prayer life, consistently increase our prayer life. It requires us to study His Word consistently and search for ways to apply the Word to our daily lives. So when the Scripture says that we search the Scriptures and rightly divide the word of truth, what it's telling us is that we have to search the Scriptures in order for us to find methods to apply the Word of God to our daily lives. That's going to get us into a place of peace that surpasses all understanding. Because see, you can have peace because you have all of the things going well. But peace that surpasses all understanding comes in our relationship with the Lord and all the things that we do to increase that relationship. And then what God then allows to happen is for us to walk into a place of perfect peace, knowing that He's in control of everything, that He's going to work out everything in our lives if we just keep doing well, if we just keep getting up every day and giving our best to Him, not just to man. Everything we do as unto the Lord. But the truth of the matter is that we are doing our very best to be the best versions of what God has created. And if we can do that, we will then enter into that spiritual realm, which is a place of perfect peace. Perfect peace is perfect. And then it is perfected in us, that we then have peace of mind, that our spirit is at rest. See, that's what it really means to be holy, is to be whole in our body, our mind, and our spirit. This segment of the broadcast has been brought to you by PorscheAmerica.com. If you are in the market for a new vehicle, one of the finest high-performance vehicles ever manufactured, go to PorscheAmerica.com. You will find a dealership in your area where you can go and view the inventory that they have on the premises. And if they do not have what you desire to own, you can go to PorscheAmerica.com. The dealership will help you also, but you will be able to basically build out what you would desire to own, and PorscheAmerica.com will then ship to the dealership, and you will be able to pick up your new vehicle right there in their showroom on any given day. And if you're in our area, you can go to PorscheDelaware.com, one of the sponsors of our annual Achievers Golf Tournament, where they have a large selection of inventory of the finest high-performance automobiles ever manufactured. When you go to Porsche of Delaware, ask to speak to Mike Didio, General Manager of PorscheDelaware.com, and he will make certain that you're taken care of, that you have the opportunity to view what they have in stock, in their inventory, and if you are currently an owner of a Porsche, one of the finest high-performance automobiles manufactured, contact Porsche of Delaware, ask to speak to Mike Adams. If you're in need of service, they will schedule an appointment for you, pick up and drop off your vehicle at your home or office. They will pick it up, drop off a loaner, and return your vehicle to you when your service has been completed. PorscheDelaware.com, PorscheAmerica.com. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you are having a difficult time in your career and you want to know what can you do to become more successful. So here's what's interesting about this. Many people struggle in their professional career. But one of the ways of overcoming that struggle is by professional development. And you've all heard me say, if you've been with us in 3D for any period of time, you've all at some point in time heard me say, you never work for the job you have, you work for the job you desire. And what I mean by that is, pull your job description. I've shared this with my church also. Pull your job description and do your job. That's the first thing. Because you're competent to do the job you have. That's why they hired you. And that's why you're still there. But you want to work, if you want to improve your professional environment, if you want to be able to be in a place where you're succeeding at a new level, then you have to work for the job you want. The job you desire is, there's a job description for that also. If you can't get, let me rephrase that. You can get your job description. You should have your job description. But you can go online and find a job description for the job you desire to have. And then you begin to develop yourself. You know, it's self-improvement, professional development. You read as much information as you possibly can about that position that you desire to work. And if you're in an environment where you have a close relationship with the person you directly report to, one of the things you can do to improve your professional success is make their job easier. You know, identify their job description. You can go online and find that, I promise you. You can go online and find a job description for whatever position they're in. Find ways that you can make their job easier. Because if you are an asset to them and you're making their job easier, as they move, you move. Because you make them a star, you make them shine. And then they're going to bring you along because they need to keep shining. These are all things that we learn to do in the corporate environment. You've got to remember that you're always working for the job you desire. Listen, the one you have, be the best at that job that you can possibly become. And if you pull your job description, there's always, in most places, most corporate environments, there's going to be a little disclaimer at the end of that job description that says, however, not limited to, which means that you are going to be expected to do some things that might not be listed. Well, you should find those things on your own and begin to develop yourself in those areas. That's how we improve our professional performance, and that we get more success out of our profession, out of our career. Because at the end of the day, we're all working to be the best that we can possibly be in our professional environment. At least we should be. If you're not, that's another conversation we should have. But the reality is that we're all working the assignment that God has given to us at any given period of time. If you step outside of that, then you're going to find that either you're only maintaining or sustaining your current job. You add some things to the equation, that's all you can do, is maintain and sustain. But the reality is we still have to be the best at whatever we do. Whatever assignment God gives us. And I talked about that yesterday in the Sunday sermon. So go back and view the Sunday sermon. You know we're Facebook Live, YouTube Live, RadioFreeNetwork.com Live. And if you go back, you will find on the Sunday sermon, we talk about the assignment of your life. So you are in the assignment that God has assigned to you right now. Be the best version of yourself that you can possibly become. Today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast, 3D, has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe